can't say that on a random Tuesday in December, less than a week after the drop of their first season of content, that I expected to see an official Call of Duty team, like the core team of the game, not a studio representative or a social post or something like that, but the core team making a statement for the future of the franchise. But that's exactly what happened. A message of acknowledgement of shortcomings, reassurance in their commitment, and changes for the future were laid out in full, though in some cases in rather vague fashions. But a statement and a message that was a rather large one to make, again, on a random Tuesday in December. I know I'm a little late to the discussion here on this, that's fine with me. I've been having a lot of fun covering a variety of games here on the channel. I think we mentioned yesterday that by the end of this week, it'll have been 6 different games in 7 days, which as a creator is a dream come true to have that kind of like freedom after a decade of sticking to a singular franchise. So thanks for stopping by and watching that content and supporting that. But I did want to cover this today, given our roots in COD and what it means for the franchise and future going forward. Not to mention, there was also a bit of reporting from an insider in the scene that hints towards more of a shakeup than maybe anticipated, but today we're running down what you should know, a bit of my thoughts on it all, and everything in between, so drop your thoughts below, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and make sure to subscribe for more FPS content here on the channel. I'd love to have in the community. Finally, this video is brought to you in part by Control Freak, but more on that a little later. That said, let's get into it. So, posted the other day was an article called Call of Duty Black Ops 7 Update. A message from the Call of Duty team. First off, thank you for all the feedback we've received over the last few months. Call of Duty has enjoyed long-standing success because of all of you, a passionate group that demands excellence and deserves nothing less. We also know that for some of you, the franchise has not met your expectations fully. To be very clear, we know what you expect and rest assured we will deliver and over-deliver on those expectations as we move forward. With respect to Black Ops 7, we set our sights to deliver a spiritual successor to Black Ops 2, and the studios have poured their passion into making a great game that all of us are very proud of. But it's one thing for us to say it, more importantly, it's up to you to try it and judge for yourselves. So as it relates to Black Ops 7 and the future of Call of Duty, here are a few important notes. Number 1, you'll have the opportunity to play Black Ops 7 for free. Next week, we're opening the doors for everyone to jump in and play Black Ops 7 multiplayer and zombies for a free trial along with a double XP weekend. We would like you to experience the game firsthand and decide for yourselves. Number 2, we are committed to unprecedented seasonal support. Your continuing feedback will help shape our seasonal updates over the coming months. Season 1 is the largest live season ever and we're just getting started. We won't rest until Black Ops 7 earns its place as one of the best Black Ops games we've ever made. And number 3, our strategy going forward is changing. We will no longer do back-to-back releases of Modern Warfare or Black Ops games. The reasons are many, but the main reason is to ensure we provide an absolutely unique experience each and every year. We will drive innovation that is meaningful, not incremental. While we aren't sharing these plans today, we look forward to doing so when the time is right. To be clear, the future of Call of Duty is very strong and we believe our best days are ahead of us, given the depth and talent of our development teams. We have been building the next era of Call of Duty and it will deliver precisely on what you want along with some surprises that push the franchise and the genre forward. We look forward to welcoming you in, listening to you, and moving forward together. So, again, pretty impactful for a random Tuesday in December. Like, I didn't really see a whole ton of discussion that would have led up to this, but to drop a whole next era of Call of Duty type of blog and message is kind of out of the blue here at this. But the thing is, it's one thing to say all of this stuff, but another to actually execute on this. So let's dissect this a little bit here. Let's talk about this because right up front this year, there's not any pretending that this was even a commercial success for Black Ops 7. I don't think that should come as a surprise to anybody, but every bit of messaging, including this, has mentioned their gratefulness for feedback, their appreciation of the community, and their dev teams, but no boasting like usual at all. In fact, in this messaging, they outright say, "We know for some of you the franchise has not met your expectations fully." That's truly a wild thing to see written about Call of Duty after the last 10 plus years or whatever of the messaging being like, we're the best selling game of the year, it's the best Black Ops, the best Modern Warfare, the best Call of Duty launch ever, that kind of stuff. Like there's always every single year messaging that is tooting their own horn, but none of that this year. The mention of the changing of the strategy going forward is something that's interesting because no more back-to-backs. That's obviously something that's a big deal for sure, but also it's never been a thing until the last couple of years here. Like Call of Duty had releases every single year, but you always had that sort of pendulum swing of a cadence back and forth between Modern Warfare and Black Ops back in the golden age of COD, but then also you had a few IPs like Ghosts, Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, World War II. Those ones that broke up the cadence of just every single year was a Call of Duty game of either Modern Warfare or Black Ops once they switched to that 3-year development cycle back in, what was that, 2013? But in relation to the back-to-back 2 years Modern Warfare, 2 years Black Ops, that's a brand new thing that seemingly, while they're going to spin it as though that's always been the plan, it seems like from the reporting that happened leading up to those games that it was kind of just built out of a necessity to fill one of those gap years with a game. But regardless, I personally think that, honestly, you wouldn't have an issue with this being back-to-back if it was more treated as like a year 2 expansion, like was originally planned or initially leaked. Because you have one major launch, $70, whatever, that's your big thing, but then a year 2 could have just been a major DLC. Black Ops 7, I think, is a prime example of that, I think. You have endgame, multiplayer, and zombies, all solid offerings after that initial stuff, like the campaign was abysmal, we've talked about that, but if there was ever a year to do like a major DLC as a test run, I think it would have been this year, because I think you could have genuinely scrapped the campaign and still had a solid experience for players between endgame, MP, and zombies, but I'd also want that major DLC to be cheaper. I think myself and plenty of others wouldn't have an issue with these back-to-backs if you weren't paying $70 each time. Like if this game was with endgame, multiplayer, and zombies, I don't know, $40 as opposed to $70, I think you'd probably have a lot more happy customers with it. And yeah, you'd take a hit on some revenues, but you gain a ton of goodwill and probably an honest representation of a year 2 experience if you're actually looking at it objectively. I'll mention it again shortly, more than likely, but Black Ops 7, I've said, not even in a bad way, because I don't really care about the core mechanics and stuff. Like, I don't have anything against those core systems, but Black Ops 7 is a Black Ops 6 2.0 or a Black Ops 6.5 or something like that. Like, the core mechanics are not different enough to me, probably to you as well, to feel like an entirely different game that you should be paying $70 for again. Even though there was a very healthy content drop. There is. Like, I'm not going to deny that. But I think that if there's ever a game that felt like an extension rather than a new game, it's this one. Modern Warfare 3 at least had the whole we're changing the base mechanics thing going for it, coming out of Modern Warfare 2, even though the launch itself was predominantly remastered maps. The game felt different enough. But no more back-to-backs. I think this is a step in the right direction for feel and differentiation between titles, but at the same time, I also think you need to have a deeper conversation about IP and the game experience as a whole. IP in itself, I mean, we need more than just Black Ops and Modern Warfare games because, I mean, how long are we going to keep this going? Are we going to Modern Warfare 17 and Black Ops 20 or something like that? Like, if you still keep doing that same cycle and you just have the pendulum swing back and forth of Modern Warfare, Black Ops, Modern Warfare, Black Ops, it doesn't really change the problem that you have right now in relation to that fatigue factor or why there's not enough differentiation feeling at that point. You need to actually introduce new storylines, new characters, new settings and things that are compelling and can grab the character. And that's something that is definitely possible. You just have to take the risk on that, which is also something we'll come back to. Right now, it does appear that Sledgehammer is apparently poised for a 2027 launch that will be a new IP. So that's nice to hear, at least, that it might be something that is introducing that kind of stuff right out of the gate. And it'll be the first one we see since Vanguard, but it's also not confirmed until we see a reveal. I mean, we can talk about that. We can talk about leaks all we want, but until it's officially official, we can't really say it 100% definitively. But another thing is the feel of the game itself to make this differentiation, that removing back-to-back isn't going to get rid of these fundamental issues unless you also change up the experience a bit. We'll touch on it a bit more in my personal thoughts on the matter, but an underlying root cause of fatigue is that every single game now is almost the same. Fundamentally speaking, because it's built on the same engine to support Warzone, to be a sort of stable canvas for every single studio, whether they're working on side modes, whether they're working on singular maps like a Beanox or High Moon or something like that, or they're transforming the Warzone experience with like Black Ops 7 mechanics transferring to Warzone for Raven. All of that is the same sort of canvas. But because of that, you have everything having to use the same tools, having to feel the same to some degree, that until you shift that a little bit, you're going to have the same conversation, I think. Before we continue, a quick second to talk about today's sponsor, Control Freaks. With the launch of Black Ops 7, they dropped their newest collaboration, the Black Ops 7 thumbsticks. Now, for longtime viewers, you remember me talking about Control Freaks. They were one of the first partners we had on the channel, and even before that, I've used their sticks on every single controller I've had, dating back to 2012-ish. giving a bit more precision in your aim control by making more minor adjustments and thumbsticks a bit more attainable and easier to control by increasing the analog stick arc distance. Their increased surface area and grip means you'll be shooting straighter in no time while not feeling awkward in any way, shape, or form while doing so. Like I said, I've used their product for over 10 years now, would highly recommend them. So whether you want those Black Ops 7 sticks to match your gameplay or any number of their large selection of options like domed or concave sticks, different themes, various colorways, there's plenty of options to check out. If you do, make sure you use code Espresso to net yourself an extra little discount, but make sure to check out the link in the description below. And again, thanks to Control Freak for sponsoring this video. Another thing they mentioned was driving innovation that's meaningful, not incremental. And this could be a double-edged sword. To preface, I do very much think that COD needs to take risks again. You look at the golden age of COD, in air quotes, or whatever you consider that to be, and you'll find plenty of different things compared to now. Not as much big money involved, smaller teams of development, less oversight, not as many microtransactions, etc., etc., etc. But I think the biggest one, creatively speaking, was that COD was the leader in the genre at that point. You had them taking risks every single year for a 4 to 5 to 6 year period. Fundamental gameplay systems in places, kill streaks, create a class systems, game modes as a whole, like zombies. They were innovative in their own right in both the franchise, building off of what had done well in the past and making that even better, game over game, but also in the genre too. Like some of the stuff in the FPS genre, that was not something you saw much until Call of Duty. Narratively, they also pushed the boundaries. Like no Russian? Do you think that that would happen today? And no, I'm not talking about the Modern Warfare 2 plane sequence where it's a playable, but still on a very definitive track sort of situation and then into a cutscene. I'm talking about giving the player that weapon, allowing them to walk through that level again today. Good or bad, that was a risk. It got major media attention even back in 2009 because Call of Duty's like, I don't care, I'm forging my own path, we're doing our own thing. Call of Duty has become very complacent with seeing how trends work first and then taking action on them or avoiding them. And that's why you see some of these things introduced that are just like, they seem to be behind the 8 ball, where they're introduced, but it's still a matter of like, well, we kind of saw that stuff already. Warzone kind of lucked out, but at the time, like Warzone was not a new thing. Like Battle Royale was not a new thing. I will give them that changing to a loadout system was one of these situations of taking a risk and kind of forging their own path, but making a Battle Royale was something that even at that time, I remember people were like, why are they doing a Battle Royale now? It's already overdone and things like that. But Call of Duty's become complacent in watching how things play out first. And I don't like it, but I get it. It's because of shareholders. It's because of the business side of things. It's money first, not the game first when it comes to these games in the last 10 years. It's a profit-making business investment to those making the decisions. And that inherently as a player is something that I disagree with. Not a passion project like the earlier titles were. So you need to be willing to take these risks to be an industry leader and to pave a path forward for yourself rather than waiting to see how those calculated moves need to be made. But at the same time, making these meaningful, not incremental decisions, that kind of seems like larger leaps of gameplay changes, of things that are going to change for the franchise, which could be good or could be bad. And listen, after my whole story with Infinity Ward and Modern Warfare 2's lack of feedback, taking that into account despite explicit requests for it, if you know that story, you know that story. We've talked about it here plenty of times on the channel. I'm not going to dive into that again just for the sake of timing because this is already going to be a long video, but my faith in Infinity Ward coming up for the next year here is minimal until I'm given a reason to have faith in them again. But if you're making innovative changes that are meaningful, they better not be something like cutting out core features like a mini-map with red dots, core perks like transferring Dead Silence or a ninja perk to only a field upgrade, or making your perks a timed rollout or something incredibly dumb like that. Like that's still, I can't believe we played Modern Warfare 2 for a whole year and we had to wait for our perks to charge up as the game went on. How stupid is that? And their final mention of, to be clear, the future of Call of Duty is very strong and we believe our best days are ahead of us. Given the depth and talent of our development team, we've been building the next era of Call of Duty and it will deliver precisely on what you want along with some surprises in the franchise and the genre moving forward. That kind of stuff, I'm not sure what to make of that part. I think, firstly, there is potential for COD to see an upswing again. I mean, we thought Call of Duty was down and out in 2017, 2018. Infinite Warfare, I still think, was probably one of the lowest points I ever remember seeing a community for a game. This year, admittedly, like leading up to it was kind of the same thing where everybody's just like, I don't care. But like, it was definitely the most negative reception I remember seeing since Infinite Warfare in 2016. But then, of course, like things like the luck of Warzone and COVID, Call of Duty did spike to numbers never before seen in the franchise. Again, for better or for worse, I know a lot of people will attribute to Warzone for the air quote current downfall of Call of Duty, but it objectively hit numbers that it never did before. So I think somewhere there's a world where it could happen again. I won't count that out. But things like surprises that push the franchise and genre forward, I'm really intrigued by and have honestly no real guesses as to what that could be. Surprises like, I don't know, maybe making like Call of Duty free to play with an annual update that is just like a COD mobile style thing. Like COD mobile makes a killing revenue wise that would make sense for a lot of the suits up there that want to make money. I mean, you'd also see an unbelievable influx of microtransaction peddling, but you also wouldn't be paying for the game at its core and those annual updates. Maybe it's another large scale investment in an upcoming subgenre. DMZ 2.0. We're seeing all these AAA studios and publishers starting to take notice of the extraction genre. Like I talked about this with Arc Raiders a little bit, where like, I love Arc Raiders. Like that is no surprise here at all. But that is what I'd consider like the first air quote AAA extraction shooter. You had DMZ, which was kind of like testing the water a little bit here with this, but it wasn't ever an actual investment from a AAA studio as a main focal point. You had Marathon, which is a big budget development, but that got set back because of, well, the whole fiasco that was. And then you had a whole host of other games out there that, of course, were not new in the extraction genre, but they just didn't have the financing and the level of development behind it to make it a AAA caliber game, or what would be conventionally classified as a AAA game. So maybe they're investing and doubling down on that. I really have no clue, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, there was a follow-up here from this from the Ghost of Hope, where after this message was made earlier today, actually, he said that he had heard some stuff behind the scenes where he stated, report, Microsoft believes Black Ops 7 is a good game, but the financial performance is below expectations, which were lowered last year after Black Ops 6 fell off a cliff. With the state of the franchise overall, the pressure is now on Call of Duty to change its model. Microsoft wants to see Call of Duty overall move towards a smoother revenue stream and a reduced expenditure pattern. Microsoft also subsequently told higher-ups within Call of Duty that changes are very much required and nothing is off the table, including studio mergers and complete rethink of monetization models within the franchise. So again, that in and of itself is a very big thing to dissect. Black Ops 7, again, we'll come back to it, my personal thoughts here in a moment. Black Ops 7 being a good game, I think, is a true thing. Again, minus campaign, I think a lot of what we asked for years is finally being delivered here within Black Ops 7. Now, you can argue all you want that it took an absolute shit show to get that there, but the end destination did end up giving us a lot of what we asked for. Black Ops 6 falling off a cliff, I don't think that was anything that really kind of surprised anybody. Revenue-wise, Game Pass absolutely cannibalized a lot of those sales. The reception of the game dropped off a cliff after, I'd say, probably like Season 2, maybe Season 3 with Verdansk's return, maybe you could say. Not in a bad way for that, but more so like just the interest in Black Ops 6 just kind of fell off a cliff. Changing its model, I'm very curious what this will mean. A smoother revenue stream is something that makes sense from a Microsoft perspective, but how that happens is something that as a consumer, I'm a little worried as to what that may mean and how we actually get there. Mentioned specifically of changing monetization models within the franchise, that's interesting. I mean, I don't think that supply drops and stuff like that are going to be on the table ever again, and thankfully, because I'm not a huge fan of that gambling stuff, and also, I think over in Europe, there's actually legislation that bars that, so like they could not sell their game if they did that, but it also could mean the return of things like DLC packs, which would cannibalize player bases even more again with the split between players who have it and who do not. It could unfortunately mean more subscription models, which in the era of every goddamn thing is a subscription, I would lose my mind if that happens. And a mention of studio mergers is rather interesting as well. I don't think that for that kind of stuff, you'd end up seeing things happen like Infinity Ward, Treyarch, or Sledgehammer, or like all pushed into one larger studio. I think that would more so kind of come down to these smaller things that you end up seeing, like a High Moon or a Beanox type of thing, maybe merging together and making one larger studio there. But again, without further context, it's all speculation. But a lot of stuff to dissect here in regards to the future of Call of Duty. So just shifting before we wrap the video, personal thoughts here. I think one of the biggest things, truly speaking, is franchise fatigue is a very real thing. But also at the same time, like, what did anybody expect from the main focus of this franchise turning to funneling everything to Warzone or having a uniform feeling for nearly 6 years now? Like, we're going into our 4th title on the same engine built to support all titles going forward. To me, like, I knew I was always going to see this as the end game, where everything feeling the same, kind of being developed to be the same. It was always going to be that. I just didn't know how long it would take to get there. You're not going to have that variability in gameplay that is enough of a change up every year that for the last 4 years, of course, it's going to feel stale after a while. Black Ops 7 as a whole, here's the thing, and I know that this may be an unpopular one for the internet, but I do think this game is not a bad game outside of the campaign. I mean, like, that was abysmal, like I said, but endgame I have fun with in a PvE state. I don't know how much replayability there's going to be after I end up finishing Genesis camo and stuff like that. And I also don't know if it's me becoming the air quote unk gamer or whatever, just aging out of caring about trying super hard, because I'll be honest, I do not care about that stuff anymore. My days of competing or whatever, well behind me. Multiplayer, I don't have much an issue with. Open matchmaking's nice. The map, modes, weapons, and so on and so forth, nice. Obviously, report systems, chat moderation, anti-cheat, all that kind of stuff you can still make those same arguments for. I'm not going to combat that because I agree that a lot of the systems still could definitely be worked on. Zombies I've been playing a bit here and there, but I'm not like a diehard with it this year. But personally speaking, like, I have nothing really fundamentally wrong with this game. It has introduced a lot of stuff that I have been asking for years. I've been playing with my friends, but I don't know that I have that spark to really grind it this year like I have in the past. Like, this year out of a launch window, obviously we've talked about Call of Duty, the least we have in the channel's history following a game's launch. I also have probably put in the least amount of time following a game launch that I have in Call of Duty's history. I absolutely love the concept of a lot of what they're doing for this game this year. Like, the mastery grinds is one of those big things for me that I love. I love that there's a secret camo for things like completing all 4 major mastery grinds for Nexus Horizon. I love that there's a level 1000 reward camo you can get. I think there's probably a secret camo for getting every weapon prestige master level 250. Like, that kind of stuff, genuinely kudos to the devs, because that kind of stuff is direct feedback from the community. That's a really cool grind to have out there, and something that's actually a genuine organic reward to work towards, something we've been asking for years. On paper, there is minimal stuff that I come out with this game that I say that I really hate. Like the core content, core gameplay systems, post-launch support thus far, all of that has been good in COD standards, and the game itself as a COD game, I don't think is all that bad. I'm just insanely burnt out and have many other options for games that I'm playing right now that at the moment, I'm just having more fun playing those. If that makes sense, you know? So while I'm intrigued for what the future may hold and I'm curious to see where this goes, I also want this to be a situation of, like, they have to show me something to bring me back in regards to being a diehard, to wanting to grind things out. I don't know if this disappoints some people on the channel who have been longtime COD fans or not, but I think it's been pretty evident this year so far is that, like, it's not even that I hate the game or anything like that. It's just I don't have that spark anymore. So I'm curious to see what happens, to see what the next chapter for Call of Duty is, if they can right some historical wrongs, if they can keep compounding on the good of open matchmaking, worthwhile systems to keep you playing post-launch, a solid core foundation, it's player first, not money first, and many other things. I think at the end of the day, this statement that they made is a nice wake-up call, likely for the franchise as a whole, that this year there was enough competition for people to not just rubber band back and start that COD cycle all over again. But I also think that actions are absolutely louder than words. A statement like this can be made all they want, but how will they act? How will players' time and investment into a game be honored in a meaningful way while still pushing the franchise forward to be a better version of itself? Those are questions I do not have the answers to. None of us do. But when that time finally comes that we learn more about their plans, as an optimistic person, I'm hopeful that it is something we can all agree is a good thing. But only time will tell. And for now, that's where we're going to wrap it up. So let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of this statement here made by the Call of Duty teams? What do you think this will mean for the future of Call of Duty? Let me know. If you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor, drop a like on it. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing running all things. Plenty of other FPS content. Like I said, we've got like 6 different games here this week alone on the channel. So stoked for all that and all the diversity of content here. Would love to have you in the community as we just share some experiences that we're enjoying here on the channel. For now, though, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.